Tales of Herding Gods Episode 50. Academician Dashan worried that no matter who he chose, he would offend someone, so he decided to first seek the second prince's opinion. Second Prince Ling Yushu was both surprised and delighted. Dashan was an Imperial College academician whose status in the Imperial Academy was second only to the Grand Academician. His strength was unfathomable, completely unlike that of a first-rank minister in the Imperial court, nor was he a patron of a major sect, or a sect master or cult leader. He was one of the top existences in the world today. If he could receive his guidance, it would naturally be a great boon. It seemed the second prince was overthinking things. Academician Dashan saw the joy on his face and immediately realized he had misunderstood. I only teach disciples below the 6 harmonies realm. As I don't know much about the Imperial Prince's quarter, I'd like to ask the second prince to recommend 2 individuals. Ling Yushu's expression darkened. He suppressed the disappointment in his heart and smiled. My 7th sister's comprehension and talent are both exceptional. Even the Imperial Academy doctors who met her said her aptitude was extraordinary, even surpassing mine. It's just that she's a bit mischievous. Academician Dashan is strict, so perhaps you could help temper her character for me. Academician Dashan was surprised. Is it the 7th princess? She is indeed a bit playful and has delayed her cultivation. Usually, the Imperial College academicians, out of respect for her status as a princess, wouldn't make things difficult for her, but with me, she'll have a taste of hardship. The 7th princess was, of course, Ling Yushu. Ling Yushu's eyes flickered. He thought to himself, 7th sister, you've been too close to that outcast. It's hard to guarantee you won't do something that sullies the royal family's reputation. This time, leaving the palace will allow you to distance yourself from that Qin Mu. Once you meet more young talents, you will forget that so-called brother of yours. This is also for your own good, lest you stray onto the wrong path. Academician Dashan then asked, Second Prince, do you have anyone else in mind? Ling Yushu thought for a moment, then considered Ling Minwei, Prince Minwei, son of the king of Mount Tai. Academician Dashan chuckled. He's also a promising talent. I heard you and Prince Minwei are somewhat at odds. Why recommend him? Ling Yushu smiled. Minwei and I are at odds only because the king of Mount Tai supports my eldest brother. That's why we're not on good terms. However, Minwei's innate talent is unparalleled. He is indeed an exceptional individual among the Imperial Prince's quarter. Academician Dashan nodded. The second prince is virtuous. In that case, let the second prince inform them of this news. Have them come to the prince's abode to find me. Ling Yushu's heart swelled with joy. He knew that Dashan was giving him this opportunity to win over Prince Minwei. He quickly departed. Ling Yushu and Prince Minwei arrived at the prince's abode. Besides them, there were several other princes, namely Qin Yu, Shenhuanen, Yun Ke, Wei Yong, and others. Academician Dashan said, the Grand Academician and I have discussed implementing the position of Imperial Academy Doctor above the princes. You all will be Imperial Academy doctors. Having been selected, from now on you will study with me. I will teach you according to your individual aptitudes, which will be different from what other princes learn. Whether you can truly become Imperial Academy doctors in a few years will depend on your own abilities. Oh, and you also have a senior disciple brother, or perhaps you should call him Martial Uncle. He is the Imperial Academy's first Imperial Academy doctor. I have already discussed this with the Grand Academician and reported it to the Emperor. The Emperor's appointment will be issued soon. The crowd exchanged glances. Who exactly is this first Imperial Academy doctor? Yu Qihong and Yun Ke the monk quickly looked at Shenhuanen. Shenhuanen's expression, however, was uncertain. The senior disciple brother of the prince's abode is indeed Shenhuanen, but the one who should be called Martial Uncle is definitely not him. Then, besides Qin Mu, who else could it be? Academician Dashan said, this time, I will first take the 7th princess out for a few days of training. As for the others, you'll have to wait until next time. Princess, you go to the Heavenly Path Pavilion and select a few volumes of cultivation techniques and divine abilities. The rest of you stay here. Everyone was both surprised and delighted. The archivist at the Heavenly Path Pavilion checked Qin Mu's book token and said, "When entering the pavilion to read, you must not damage the books. If any books are damaged, you will be punished. Your book token only allows you to read on the first floor." Qin Mu said, "I am to follow Academician Dashan for cultivation and outdoor training. I wish to borrow a few volumes of scriptures." The archivist was surprised, so that's how it is. Academician Dashan has special privileges. His disciples can borrow 5 volumes of scriptures. You go in and select your scriptures, then come to me to register them. Qin Mu entered the pavilion. He saw dozens of rooms inside, each one extremely spacious. On the doors were plaques bearing the names of prefectures. The scriptures in these rooms were likely categorized by prefecture. The cultivation techniques and divine abilities of the sects within each prefecture were collected in the room representing that prefecture. Qin Mu walked into the room with the Lizo plaque. He saw over a dozen bookshelves there. The bookshelves were filled with layers of scriptures, and each bookshelf also had a plaque bearing the names of different sections. Besides sects, there were also the names of aristocratic families. There weren't many people in this room, only 2 or 3 disciples sitting on the floor, holding books and studying them. Qin Mu approached a bookshelf and pulled out a volume of scriptures. He lowered his head to look, surprised in his heart. Lizhou Prefecture actually has so many sects. Qin Mu looked at the various cultivation techniques in the Donghua sect scriptures from Lizhou, but he wasn't satisfied with any of them. He returned the Donghua sect scriptures to the bookshelf, then retrieved another thick set of scriptures, the Imperial family scriptures of Yuan Nation. Qin Mu was surprised. He flipped through them and read them several times. He thought, aren't the scriptures on this bookshelf supposed to be from Lizhou sects? Where did Yuan Nation suddenly appear from? Wait, what's the relationship between this Yuan Nation and Yuan Chuyu? Could it be that Lizhou was not originally territory of the Yenkang Nation, but rather a country called Yuan? Qin Mu's heart stirred slightly. Yuan Chuyu is the young lady of Lizhou. She uses Yuan as her surname. She said she also has an elder brother named Yuan Chuan, who looks after them, siblings, in the capital. Could they be the former imperial family of Yuan Nation? Yuan Chuyu's official position isn't low. She holds a high rank at a young age. She must have a significant background. Lizhou is located in the central southern part of the Yenkang Nation. From this, it seems the Yenkang Nation has annexed quite a few countries. Qin Mu's thoughts were correct. Yuan Chuyu's background was indeed extraordinary. She was the princess of the former Yuan Nation. And the other, the crown prince of Yuan Nation, was Yuan Chuan, who became a grand general in the capital. Do you all still remember Miss Yuan Chuyu? She was that beautiful woman from Lizhou Prefecture with powdered face and crimson lips. Qin Mu encountered the stone immortal in Dijiang County and fled for his life, after which he met Yuan Chuyu. He then obtained a travel permit from Lizhou, which stated Qin Mu, citizen of Lizhou Prefecture. Don't worry, you'll have another chance to see Miss Yuan Chuyu next time. Qin Mu flipped through the national study of Yuan Nation. The imperial family scriptures of Yuan Nation were incomplete, but they were much better than those of the Donghua sect. The national study of Yuan Nation was called Chengdu. It was almost a complete system, akin to the heavenly profound palaces, and its sword art was called the Sunset Sword Art. Qin Mu read through it roughly once and decided to choose this set of scriptures. Regarding sword arts, he had only cultivated the first form of the sword disciple, sword traverse mountains and rivers. Sword traverse mountains and rivers consumed an immense amount of energy. In normal circumstances, if he encountered an enemy and used this sword art, just one move would deplete most of Qin Mu's primordial qi. If there were more enemies afterward, he would certainly be in trouble. Therefore, he needed a high-grade sword art. The Sunset Sword Art of Yuan Nation was a high-grade sword art. It greatly suited his taste. The archivist had just said that he could choose 5 volumes of scriptures. Why not look for others? Qin Mu roughly scanned the other bookshelves, but didn't find any other sex cultivation techniques that he approved of. Most were not as good as Yuan Nation's Chengdu. In the heavenly profound palace, Qin Mu searched room by room and actually found quite a few superior cultivation techniques, which made him secretly curious. The first floor of the Heavenly Path Tower already contained so many classics, so how powerful must the classics stored on the second and third floors be? However, some of the scriptures offered by certain sects were likely edited and abridged, without their true ultimate techniques being presented. As Qin Mu browsed more and more scriptures, the more he read, the more doubt grew in his heart. Many of the scriptures here seemed to have been edited and abridged, with some ultimate techniques not included. He could clearly sense this after a cursory glance. Evidently, these powers were not willing to hand over their ultimate techniques to Yen Donghua. They must have held back some. Not long after, Qin Mu selected a second scripture. This scripture was called the Thousand Souls Beckoning. It could summon the souls of the deceased from the underworld and also allow the practitioner to enter the underworld. The reason he chose the Thousand Souls Beckoning was primarily because there were too few spells in the Heavenly Path Tower that dealt with this aspect. Qin Mu felt that if he were to develop it, perhaps he could summon the souls of those who had just died and then revive them. After that, he also chose the Red Mountain Sect's Talisman of Ghost and Spirit Command. The Red Mountain Sect's spells were quite unique, able to borrow the power of ghosts and spirits through runes, which made him feel that it might have something in common with the Tao of Feathered Ascension. He only selected 3 scriptures. Choosing more would be pointless. He already had many cultivation techniques he needed to practice, and combined with the cultivation methods in the Great Eudaimonic Scripture, they were as numerous as ox hair. He needed to spend time comprehending them, so there was no need to choose too many. Qin Mu took the 3 scriptures to see the archivist. The archivist registered the scriptures and borrowing tokens, only then allowing him to leave the Heavenly Path Tower. 2 days later, the Emperor's Imperial decree of appointment arrived, appointing Qin Mu as a Grand Academy Doctor of the Grand Academy, a 6th-rank official. He was permitted to ascend to the 3rd floor of the Heavenly Path Tower and was exempt from the Grand Academy's oversight. In front of the Grand Academy's mountain gate, Grand Mountain Libationer stood waiting. A moment later, Second Prince Ling Yushu arrived, dragging a somewhat reluctant Ling Yushu. 7th Sister, cultivating with Grand Mountain Libationer will definitely be better than staying in the Grand Academy, Ling Yushu said with a smile. Grand Mountain Libationer is a patriarch-level existence, far surpassing other Imperial College officials. I'm already envious. I wish I could be the Libationer's disciple. You shouldn't hesitate. You're my biological sister, born from the same womb. How could I harm you? Haha, you're unwilling now, but once you see the cow herd, you'll be more willing than anyone. Beside the mountain gate, a robust grand green ox stood like a human, teasing the dragon Kirin guarding the gate. It would occasionally pull on its silver tail, saying, "Hey, little sister, when are you going out to play with your big brother?" The grand green ox leaned against the mountain gate, a peony clutched in its mouth. It chuckled, "Little sister, what fun is there in guarding this place every day? I'll take you out to the bustling mortal world. I guarantee you'll have a great time. Do you think this flower I have is pretty? Here, have it." The grand green ox apparently thought the dragon Kirin was female. The dragon Kirin suppressed its fury, glancing at Grand Mountain Libationer not far away, and pushed down the urge to immediately turn hostile and devour this grand green ox. Ling Yushu asked, "Teacher Grand Mountain, when will you depart?" Grand Mountain Libationer looked up the mountain. "We're still waiting for one person. He should be coming down now." Ling Yushu looked at his sister beside him, feeling a bit smug. Fortunately, I urged her fiercely. Otherwise, if 7th Sister stayed on the mountain, there's no telling what kind of mischief she and that scoundrel Qin Mu might get up to. Now that they're separated far apart, he won't have the chance. Ling Yushu was his full-blooded sister, so he naturally cared for her. As for the other princes and princesses, in his eyes, they were all competitors. Only Ling Yushu was his dearest sister. He couldn't give any bad people any opportunities. Here, bad people specifically referred to that scoundrel Qin Mu. As Ling Yushu was thinking, he looked up and saw a young man walking down the mountain, a large pile of clanging items on his back, axes, butcher's knives, bamboo staffs. He was also carrying a large bundle, with a white fox sitting atop it. Ling Yushu thought, Asterisk, this fellow looks like he's fleeing famine. Is he planning to go down the mountain to escape disaster? Asterisk. Grand Mountain Libationer saw Qin Mu and finally sighed in relief. He smiled and said, "Everyone's here. We can depart." Ling Yushu couldn't help but shudder, looking at Grand Mountain Libationer. He stammered, "Teacher, the person you were waiting for, is him?" Grand Mountain Libationer nodded, shattering the last shred of fantasy in Ling Yushu's heart. Ling Yuxiu, on the other hand, was overjoyed, looking triumphantly at her dumbfounded brother. His little schemes naturally couldn't be hidden from her. Ling Yuxiu hesitated in his heart, wanting to ask Grand Mountain Libationer if he could withdraw from school, but he found it hard to speak up. "Teacher Grand Mountain, may I also cultivate with you?" Ling Yuxiu, still unwilling to give up, hastily asked. Grand Mountain Libationer shook his head. "Second Prince, your cultivation is too high. You've already reached the 7-star realm, and your age is advanced. Your path is already set. I cannot teach you. Don't worry, 7th Princess will not suffer any losses with me. Go back." Ling Yushu was reluctant to leave, standing there, glaring menacingly at Qin Mu. Qin Mu was puzzled, not knowing how he had offended this prince. Grand Mountain Libationer said in a deep voice, "Since everyone is here, let's depart." Qin Mu quickly said, "Teacher, please wait a moment." Grand Mountain Libationer stopped, looking back. Qin Mu walked up to the Dragon Kirin. The incredibly robust Grand Green Ox quickly backed away, staring at him warily. Qin Mu ignored it, held his breath, took out a small jade bottle, unscrewed the stopper, and placed it under the Dragon Kirin's nose. The Dragon Kirin immediately became paralyzed and collapsed to the ground. The Grand Green Ox quickly jumped far away, looking at him in horror. Qin Mu inserted the stopper. The little fox stirred up a fierce wind, dispersing the scent wafting from the bottle's mouth. Qin Mu then caught his breath. Hu Linger took out another bottle from the bundle and handed it to Qin Mu. Qin Mu opened the bottle, and a pungent sour smell wafted out. Then, he poured the liquid from the bottle into the Dragon Kirin's mouth. It was juice squeezed from lemons. Although the Dragon Kirin was paralyzed and couldn't move its body, its tongue, encountering the sour taste of lemon, still involuntarily secreted saliva. Hu Linger hastily took out a jade bottle from the bundle. Qin Mu took it and placed it at the corner of the Dragon Kirin's mouth to collect the saliva. After collecting about 10 bottles, the Dragon Kirin had almost run out of saliva and finally stopped drooling. Qin Mu stood up, smiled, and said, "Teacher, little sister Xiao, we can depart now." Grand Mountain Libationer glanced at the paralyzed Dragon Kirin, curiously asking, "Why did you collect dragon saliva?" Qin Mu explained, "This is a miraculous medicine for external injuries. If one encounters knife wounds or sword wounds, applying it to the wound can regenerate flesh from decaying flesh, and bad skin will peel off. During this journey of trials, injuries are inevitable, so it's better to prepare more. Preparedness averts peril." Grand Mountain Libationer's heart stirred. Qin Mu's actions. It's probably not just to deal with injuries sustained on the journey, but to retrieve the butcher's lower body and restore his physical integrity. Qin Mu then asked, "Teacher, could I borrow your green bull?" The green bull, sensing danger, warned, "Don't mess around. Linger and I have already become sworn siblings. If you try to eat me, my sister will fight you to the death. Right, Sister Linger?" Hu Linger said proudly, "He got drunk and swore brotherhood with me, becoming my younger brother." Qin Mu laughed, "I just wanted you to carry my luggage for me. Look how nervous you are." He added, "Oh right. I just took a look. That's a dragon qilin." The green bull was struck, as if by 30 rounds of rolling heavenly thunder, instantly losing its wits. It suddenly burst into loud sobs. Hu Linger quickly went forward to comfort it. "It's all right, it's all right. Male or female, it's all the same. Anyway, she never liked you. Besides, if she did like you, you'd be in even more trouble." Grand Tutor Dashan shook his head, leading them out of the Imperial College and out of the capital city. The green bull suddenly knelt down, letting out a muffled roar from its throat. Its body beneath the ox hide thumped as it sat down, its bones rapidly growing. Its muscles vibrated outwards, and its fur grew wildly. When it originally stood up, its body was already 2 or 3 people tall. Now, revealing its true form, it was even more enormous than before, its body having grown more than 10 times in size. Its hands had also transformed into ox hooves, smoke billowed from its nostrils, and wind stirred beneath its feet. Grand Tutor Dashan had Qin Mu and Lin Yuxiu climb onto the ox's back, placing their respective luggage bundles there. Second Prince, no need to see us off further. Return now. Grand Tutor Dashan looked at Lin Yuxiu, who had accompanied them all the way out of the capital. He laughed, nothing will happen. Return now. Lin Yuxiu, with a bitter expression, waved at Lin Yuxiu. Lin Yuxiu was currently speaking with Qin Mu. That simple-minded boy, Qin Mu, said something that made Lin Yuxiu giggle, and she playfully punched the young man's chest. Lin Yuxiu felt as if his own chest had also been heavily punched, filling him with suppressed anger. The green bull stretched its 4 limbs, wind whistling beneath its feet, and galloped into the distance, leaving him far behind. Hu Linger sat nestled in the curved tips of the ox horns, her pure white fur blowing backwards in the oncoming wind. The ox horns had curved into 2 circles, allowing her to sit comfortably within them without being blown away by the wind. The little fox asked curiously, "Ox 2, you actually know how to control wind?" The green bull proudly said, "What's so difficult about controlling wind? I am a dragonkin by birth. Wielding wind and thunder is an innate ability. Just look at my hide, you'll know my fur is green. Doesn't it resemble an azure dragon? My ancestors were azure dragons. You little demon creatures can't compare." It was very proud. This bloodline made it disdain other demonic beasts. If it encountered other demonic beasts, its mere dragon's might would be enough to make the opponent submit obediently. Hu Linger stroked its scalp. The ox hide was glossy and thick, with astonishing rain resistance. Moreover, the dragon's scales on its neck were dazzlingly bright. She couldn't help but praise, "Ox 2, your body must be worth a lot of money." The green bull stumbled underfoot, quickly shutting its mouth. It thought to itself, "This sworn sister of mine is also a ruthless character. She wants to eat me, she wants to sell my hide for money. Truly vicious by nature. I, Ox, am simple and kind-hearted. It's better not to associate with these bad people." Alas, I was just drunk by her, swore her as my sister, and fell for her trick. Lin Yuxiu turned her head and asked Grand Tutor Dashan, "Teacher, where are we going for our tempering?" Grand Tutor Dashan was currently looking at Qin Mu and the scriptures he had handed over. Without even lifting his gaze, he said, "To the barbarian enemy nation beyond the Great Wall." Lin Yuxiu was startled. She had long heard of the barbarian enemy nation. The brutality of the barbarian enemy battlefield was beyond imagination. Qin Mu's heart stirred slightly as he looked at Grand Tutor Dashan. He whispered, "Disciple brother, have you found the whereabouts of Grandfather Butcher's lower body?" Grand Tutor Dashan nodded and said, "Master's lower body was abducted by a small sect. This small sect was annihilated by the Lulan Golden Palace, a power within the barbarian enemy nation. Master's lower body should now be in the hands of the Lulan Golden Palace." Qin Mu let out a breath. No wonder Grand Tutor Dashan chose to go to the barbarian enemy nation. He still had some doubts in his heart. Why would the Lulan Golden Palace annihilate that small sect and specifically take the butcher's lower body? How could Qin Mu know that the butcher's lower body had already been grafted onto someone else's body and was being used? The people of the Lulan Golden Palace, in their pursuit of strength, would exhaust every method of grafting. Their cultivation techniques were also unique. And so, they journeyed westward. Before long, they arrived at the Tu River, where the green bull actually walked upon the water. It galloped upstream. This ox's abilities could rival a demon king. It trod upon the water even more steadily than on land, and being skilled in controlling wind and thunder, its speed was exceptionally fast. At this speed, it could easily travel 3,000 li in a day. The next stop, naturally, was the border between Yenkang Nation and the barbarian enemy nation. What stories would unfold here with the Green Bull and its companions? Let's find out in the next installment. For more insights into human destinies, please follow Qin Mu.